As the world of ancient technology ended, all that's left are unanswered questions, unexplainable power, and the carcass of an unkillable god.
Welcome everybody to Dice Anvil. Today we're talking about a new TTRPG that I'm developing right now called Triconomist. And today I'm very excited because we're starting to dive into the world building. In all the other videos I've made, we went over the basic mechanics of the alpha set that I'm making right now. And these go along with that. Now, you can take all the basic rules that I've made with all those videos, and there's a playlist that's on my channel, and apply those to whatever setting you want. But if you want to use Triconomist in the setting that it was made for, stick around to see how the world building for this game is in development. As always, I want you guys to comment down below what you think, and let me know how I can improve on it. I have a very special announcement at the end of this video, so stick around. Okay, so the hook. You guys heard me talking about it a little bit. This game takes place in an epic, mythological, post-apocalyptic fantasy setting. Where to start? Let's try the beginning. Takema is the embodiment of space and time. Over 100 million years ago, she began to create the universe with the help of beings called Wardens. She assigned 4 Wardens to oversee the planet Elrade, which is where the game takes place. You can call it Elrade, Elrade. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's just a word, I guess. The Wardens were assigned authority over different parts of nature. Shaltima, Warden of Peace and Nature. Apuk, the Warden of Chaos and Water. Huit Zil, the Warden of Wisdom and Light. Vorath Kai, the Warden of Hunger and Decay. Each Warden worked together to craft the planet and creatures within it. Takema distanced herself from the servants and became one with the universe once again. This first paragraph of the rulebook has a lot in it. Automatically, you're introduced to this goddess named Takema, and she created basically these 4 gods in a way. Their job is to create and to orchestrate all these different natural aspects of the world. This is important to the game because of different mechanics of magic that are introduced in Triconomist, and to create an interesting dynamic within different groups that maybe worship different wardens. Next up, we got the Age of Glory and Ruin. It is the beginning of Triconomists. The term Triconomist refers to a being that relies on body, mind, and soul to operate. So us humans would count as Triconomists. Over the next couple million years, Triconomists evolved and developed science that wove itself into the fabric of the young planet. They had a lot of time to develop, and hidden within the world of Triconomists are these ancient ruins of these developments that these ancient people made that are a technology that the players can't really fully comprehend. And you'll see that theme throughout the rest of the game. Vorath Kai created violent creatures titled Rotspawn that he grew to love. Vorath believed that they deserved the planet more than Triconomists and attempted to wipe them out. The Triconomists fought back with their technology and eventually the partnership with the other Wardens. For the next 1,000 years, the planet was in constant war. This time was titled the War of Ruin. So yeah, the big war, a constant battle between these beasts called Rotspawn and the Triconomists and their technology. Now this is coming from Vorath Kai, which is the Warden of Decay and Hunger, which plays into why maybe he wants his creation to fester and continue to thrive in this world, and maybe why he's jealous of the Triconomists and their current dominion over the world. Who could have seen it coming, right? Vorath, the god of decay? What? He's the bad guy? A warrior named Machatis was gifted a great sword made of starlight from Shaltima and scattered Vorath, and subsequently destroying most life on the planet. The shards of Vorath hold power that can be wielded by others. This event is called the Shattering. We don't know how, but legend says it was a sword made of starlight, which I think we can all agree, probably not fully the truth, but as legend goes in modern history, we can assume that this is an exaggeration of maybe what really happened. But we do know that this man named Machatis had something to do with it, and somehow the god, or the warden I should say, of decay and hunger was killed. Not killed, but shattered. Its different essences of itself are broken off, but still are maintained. And we'll get more into that later. But this event was so catastrophic that it killed everybody on the planet, except maybe a select few. It wiped out all the cities, it wiped out all the technology, and kind of put the whole planet on a hard restart. The War of Ruin happened at -1000. 0 is the point of the Shattering, because that's when time kind of resets as far as history is concerned. Everything before the Shattering, we don't fully understand. Okay, that's cool and all, but how is this current world you have unique? Who cares about its past? Well, because the Warden of Decay is dead, which means there's no one over the whole aspect of nature decaying. Essentially, death doesn't happen. Your body doesn't decay or weaken or start to fall apart naturally. People don't get sick anymore. You don't die of natural causes. However, nothing stays good for too long. Since the Shattering, there has been no Warden over Decay. Due to this, Triconomists do not die from old age or experience disease. Triconomists can live for hundreds of years. The leading cause of death is a mystery. Rust is the embodiment of decay, a disease that appears to be caught at random. Rust is characterized by a hardening skin, coughing, and hallucinations. Rust is not lethal, but a mark of a victim. They will be hunted and killed by creatures called the Tearbringers. Little is known about these creatures, but they are deadly and intelligent. At some point in the game, it'd be really interesting for one of the players to receive Rust and then have to constantly fight off these Tearbringers that are just trying to carry out what they were told to do or what they are born to do, which is kill things that have this mark of death. There are mysteries about how the world works and what to do about it. Tons of lost relics that can be found within the world. The people that were here before figured out everything. They learned all these hyper advanced ancient technology that can medically help. Maybe they're extremely destructive weapons. Who knows? It's up to the GM to decide that. There are a couple phenomenons that are happening in the game that the players will come across. Of course, there's Rust and the Tearbringers. Remember those shards of Vorothkai that I talked about? That god that was shattered? Well, there are 10 of them, and each of them have a different attribute of his godlike abilities. We got Decay, Rage, Strength, Voice, Sight, Mind, Creation, Eternity, Deformity, Shadow. The reason this is a cool thing to bring up is that if a Triconomist gets their hands on one of these shards, they can take on that essence, that godlike ability that is within that shard. Let's talk about Zepra, which was just a regular peasant girl that just so happened to come across the Shard of Shadow. At some point, she absorbed that Shard of Shadow into her own essence and became the Shareholder of Shadow. She can use shadows to materialize and strike people with them, vanish into thin air, into the shadows. She operates as kind of an omnipresent kind of being. And she's been around for hundreds of years. A Shareholder is immune to rust for some reason. Then we got the Shardborn. If you are a Shareholder, like you have the essence of a dead god within you, and then you have a child, that child's not going to be normal. That child is going to be genetically able to resist and manipulate decay. Well, I'm going to talk about it more when I talk about the magic systems and everything, but basically they can manipulate their flesh in something called flesh bending, which your character could be. There are creatures called learners that linger around, and on face value, they look very simple. They're skinny, they have long limbs, they're very pale, they only have eyes, and their whole spill is whenever they're hatched, they immediately adapt to their environment. So if there is a learner that grew up around lava and fire, they will immediately assume a form that is resistant to lava and fire. Or if the first thing it sees is maybe a falcon hunting prey, well, guess what? It's going to develop wings and learn that, okay, I guess I have to fly around and murder prey. There are a lot of different things that GM can use learners with to be a threat or maybe even a tool during the campaigns. Throughout the entire world, there are giant fossils. These aren't fossils of dinosaurs. These are gigantic fossils and ruins of these monsters that were called Rotspawn one day that were mostly killed off There are still some like smaller ones around, but I'm talking colossal size. Like one of them died in the ocean and developed into an island kind of big. They can take any kind of shape or form. So if a GM wants to have any kind of big bad or like serious threat to the players or to a region, they can have a Rotspawn appear, because they kind of linger in the shadows and they'll just come out and start attacking and eat as much as they can and then go back into hiding. Along with the fossils, we also have giant ruins and giant tunnels. You know in D&D when you have dungeons? Well, imagine a dungeon, but it is hyper technologically advanced. There's a lot you can do with that. Not all of them have to be hyper advanced, but basically they're buried fortresses or maybe buried facilities that have been underground and went through an entire apocalyptic event, but also been down there for hundreds of years. So there's no telling what you could find down there, what dark things lurk down there. The only way to find out is to explore for yourself. There are robots made of stone and metal that wander around aimlessly in the woods or in the valleys. They're called the Forgotten. There's a constant energy that's moving over the face of the earth and sometimes populates more in certain areas. We know very little about it, but we know we can access it through a magic system that I'll talk about in a later video. There's also magic gems. I say magic in quotes because it's really science that we don't understand. There's reasons that this stone gives me the ability to read your thoughts. There's a reason that this certain kind of material floats. It's the same reason that flint and steel, when hit against each other, sparks and makes fire. And that's kind of the theme I want in this game, is we call magic things that we don't fully comprehend. All takes place on the continent of Luvia. Working title, I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but this is what it looks like. It's got 3 major parts to it. It's got the Chalora, which is a huge jungle area. It's got the Archaeum Empire, and on the bottom, it's got these grassy fields, and that's where the whole territory of Amalon takes place. Okay, this is the announcement. This is the first video of World Building Week. I'm gonna post a video every single day this week talking about a different area, talking about the classes that you can have depending on what nation you're from, some brief things about their history, their culture, so that when you're a player in this game, you can watch the video about the Archaeum Empire because your character's from there and you'll know everything you need to know to get started as that character. The next 4 days will be filled with videos like this. I'll be hitting Chalima from Archaeum, from Amalon, in a 5th video where maybe your character doesn't belong to any of those places. Maybe they're an Outlander, which I make classes for as well. Please leave a comment down below what you liked, what you didn't like, maybe some creative ideas you have, because I want this to be a community-built thing. That's it for now. Y'all have a good day and keep gaming.